Okay, so creating an online environment, some of the things that you need to take into consideration is that, for example, I was in Samantha Going's class. She's got wonderful, beautiful relationships with her students in that face-to-face environment. Students are not going to be able to really, if you send them emails and things of that nature, they're not going to be able to look at body language, reflection. So that sort of interaction with your students is going to need to evolve a little bit, and it certainly is not impossible. It's just going to look a little bit differently. And so one of the first sort of suggestions is just be aware that everything that you either do or don't do in an online environment becomes part of that environment. We're huge fans of just over communicate. Now, that doesn't mean that you have to call your students every single day. Putting a nice welcome video in your Canvas course or in a Google slide or whatever and sharing that with your students, that can be part of that over communication piece. So just a welcome sort of, if every time you interact with your students, it's about an assignment, that then kind of takes away that relationship piece. And so what you would normally do in a classroom in a face-to-face environment is probably tell jokes. How was your day? What did you have for lunch? Are you feeling okay today? And so we're going to have to somehow translate that into an online environment via video. The second thing that we would suggest is just grace. This is new for all of us, and certainly for your students. Your students may know more, quote unquote, about technology than you do, but they are consumers of technology. So they will play games, they'll use Snapchat or TikTok or whatever for entertainment purposes. But now your students are they're having to wrap their minds around technology, their iPhone, laptops, as a tool to be used to learn, not just to consume stuff and not just to socialize. And so that's going to take a little bit for them to wrap their sweet little heads around. The next step is just, and this is the same in the classroom, you want to have student-to-student conversations using academic language. You don't want all of the academic language coming from you, the teacher. Assigning, the example here, assigning vocabulary is awesome and fine, but if the students don't actually use that vocabulary in meaningful, authentic ways, then it just becomes this unengaging assignment that they honestly probably aren't going to care about. And so if you can set up discussion posts, for example, so that the students are using the academic language to make connections to what they're doing at home or experiences they've had, that's a best practice approach. And then finally, so just to run back through everything super fast, everything you do online is going to give a sort of flavor to your online environment. That includes, in the upper right-hand corner on this slide, teacher-to-student interaction and student-to-student interaction. Think about how you're gonna organize the flow of your classroom. How is it organized? And it probably can't be just a whole bunch of links. You're going to want to add color. You're going to want to add a little bit of your personality. If you're a funny person, don't be shy about adding humor to your assignments. Just make sure that it's school appropriate humor and that kind of stuff. And then obviously rich media. It can't be just text. Try adding a video of yourself talking about the assignment. Try adding audio about yourself talking about the assignments. We talked about just grace, just be forgiving, especially the first few weeks of this. And then as much as possible, have students talking to students in this online environment where you're more of that guide on the side as opposed to you telling the kids in silos, do this assignment and never interact with another student. Well, we have to recreate that online environment, or I'm sorry, we have to recreate that face-to-face environment as much as possible by having kids socialize with each other, but socializing through the content. And then the last thing I was going to say is talk to your kids in a way that you're gathering data. So Ellie posted a quick little survey that's going to help us figure out when do we offer content. So I'm going to go ahead and click on this, and hopefully you'll see it. it's going to force you guys to create a survey that looks like this. And in it, this is something that I actually do with my.
We don't see it.
You can see it?
Nope.
Cannot.
I hear you clicking, but we still see the slide, the main slide.
Okay. You would think that Zoom would just follow me. Here we go.
Now we see it.
There we go. Okay. So in this survey, I asked college students a variety of questions. It was a hybrid course, but I use this with my online course as well. And some of the questions I asked them is kind of the same thing that Shelly asked you guys. What days of the week are you more likely to access the content? What time of the day? How do you learn best by? And then I actually linked, I put in a link to a quiz that tells the students, I'm a visual learner, I'm a social learner, I'm an auditory learner. And then they put that answer here. So I know what it is that I need to do. If I have a lot of visual learners, then I'm going to add a lot of visual content. And so putting something together in a Google form like this and just asking the students, when are you available? How do you want to consume this content? When are you going to be available to talk to other students? As much as possible, put the learning in the hands of the kids and then cater around them.